Hello there, it is me, Tarman, and welcome back. Today we are going to be painting up some German tank crew figures. This is the new, I think a newer kit by Tamiya. I do remember building the old one, so this is new to me. So I'm going to pick out one of these old guys and let's get to painting. I think the figure I am going to be painting is him. So let's just hop into that real quick. So here's the sprue. I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, the amount of detail they get into it now is a lot better than the older ones. And it has been a long time since I've messed with a Tamiya kit, so I'm very impressed with it. But I do believe the figure that I am going to be painting up today will be this guy right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut him out and glue him together, and then we will continue on with the process. Okay guys, so this is him put together. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to prime this bad boy black, and then I'm going to spray the top of him with a white as missing him. So next time you see him, he'll be black and white. So let's do it. Okay fellas, here he is. Nice black and white for the shading. So the next thing we're going to do is paint the uniform black, and I added in the gun too because it's going to go with the idea I have for this tank commander. So let's paint the uniform black, and the black we're going to be using is this. Now that we have the black on, the next thing we're going to do while it's drying is pick out the boots. The boots we're going to be doing two colors, and I'm going to do the same for the belt as well. So for the first color, we are going to go over the boot with this, including the belt. And then when that is dry, we're going to go over it with this. So let's do it. Alright, so there's the first stage. We're going to go over the boots again with the black. And the black we're going to be using is this again. And then after that, we're going to hop over to the gun. And the gun, we're going to start with this. And then we're going to go over the gun with this. So let's do it. Okay, we're going to add one more color to the rifle, and that color will be this. Alrighty, so while that's drying, we're not exactly done with the gun yet. There's still a little bit more I want to do, but while that is drying, we're going to pick out his shirt he's wearing, and we're going to use two colors to do that. The first color is going to be this. And then we're going to come back and highlight it with this. So let's do it. And voila! So now we are finally going to hop back over to the uniform, add some weathering to it. Make it look like he's just been wearing it a little bit, so we're going to be dry brushing a darker gray on it. But first we got to mix up a gray, and the two colors we're going to be using to do that is this, and then we're going to mix this into it. But we want to get the dark gray. This, I don't want it to be super noticeable, but noticeable enough to show there a variation in the uniform. And already, like with doing the undercoat, there is a bit of a variation in it already, but I want it to stick out just a little bit more, and it kind of helps make it look more used. You know, because the idea behind this guy is eventually is that they're abandoning their tank and getting ready just to go on the march. That is why he's holding a rifle, is because they're following the infantry. They can't really go back because they know they don't have any more vehicles. So they're just basically like end of war scenario here. That's what I'm kind of going for. So let's mix up this gray real quick. Alrighty, so now there's a two-tone to the uniform, adding some variation to it. So now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to pick out his field cap. And this is going to be multiple colors. The first color we're going to be using for the brim and the rim will be this, because it is black. And then the top of the hat is a green, and we will be starting with this. And then we're going to mix that a little bit with this and add in a highlight to the cap. So let's do it. Alrighty, so there he is. Now his cap is all nice and picked out and highlighted. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to pick out the rifle. So we're just going to highlight it with a darker tan just to kind of hone it in a little bit. And the tan we'll be using is this. So let's do it. Alrighty, so there is the gun all nice and finished. And I just took the black and picked out the metal bits for the gun. So when we go into painting the metal bits, it'll be a little easier. The next thing we're going to do is pick out the red piping on his cap. I do know, like on the uniform, it's really like a pinkish, but for the cap, I believe it's red. And the red we're going to be using is this. But I'm not going to be picking out any piping on his uniform because the version I'm going with doesn't have it. And this kit does come with some really cool decals. So we're definitely going to be using these. So let's pick out that piping on his uniform. Okay, fellas, so there is the trim picked out on his cap. So the next thing we're going to be doing is picking out his face. I did make a lot of different videos showing how I do paint my faces. This one I'm going to go just into as much depth on how I do that as well. And the first color that we're going to use is this. So this will be the base for everything. So let's begin. Alrighty, so now we got the base coat for the skin all done, as you can see here. But now the next thing we're going to be doing is picking out the eyes. And the eyes can be kind of daunting, but it's not. All you need really needs a fine tip brush. For the whites of the eyes, we're going to start with this. And what's cool about this scale is that you can dive into eye color and stuff, but I'm not. I'm just going to go with just a simple black for the pupils of the eyes. And like I said, it is okay to be a little messy with this. All you need is like kind of a fine tip brush, but if you are messy, you will go back over it with the base coat to help clean up around the eye to make it perfect. So let's do it. And this is a great example of what I was talking about, that the eyes are going to be messy at first. As you can see here, it is messy. So all you got to do is just go back over the eye with the base coat and just help shape it and clean it up a little bit more. You will need a very fine tip brush just for faces. It just makes life a little easier. It's going to be daunting, but you know, practice makes perfect. But let's hop into cleaning up these eyes. Alrighty, so now the eyes are done. And now it's time to do some highlighting. So we're going to start making it look more like a person. And this is the first color we're going to use. Also, to remember, when you are highlighting, you wanted the paint to be kind of thin and you're focusing really on the high points, really where the light's going to be hitting the face. And you want it to show a contrast from the light to dark area. It just gives the face a lot more dimension. And there we are. Those are the first highlights. But now we're going to add in another highlight, a shade brighter. And it will just be these two mixed together to brighten it up. So let's do that.
Alrighty, so now we have all of the highlights done. So the next thing we're going to do is add in just a little bit of shading. This paint I'm going to thin down a lot. This is the color we're going to be using, and you just want to hit this in the recesses. Alrighty, so there it is. That's all we're doing for the face. It's probably gonna look a little weird right now because my light is really bright and it's gonna blow out the colors a bit, but once you look at it from the normal angle, it's actually gonna tie together pretty well. But the next thing we're gonna do is pick out his hair, and I'm going to make him blonde. So the first color we're gonna be using is this. And then the next color for the highlights, we are going to use this. So let's do it.
And there we are. Now the hair and the skin is all picked out. The next thing to do is just to put on the uniform markings. And these decals are pretty cool. I've never used them before. But yeah, so I'm going to cut a couple of these out and apply them onto the uniform. And you will need to use microset and microsol, because just putting it straight, there's no way it will probably lay flat enough. So with those two, it will help out a lot. So next time we see him, those decals will be on him, and he'll be matted, clear coated, and then we'll hop into the silvery bits. So next time we see him, he'll be ready for the silver bits. And look at that. Now all of that is tied together, and the decals turned out really nice. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to pick out his belt buckle and the rifle, and we're just going to be using two colors to do that, which will be this as the this as the base, and this as the highlight. So let's do it. And there we are. The silvery bits on the gun are a little too bright, so we're going to darken those up with just a wash. And the wash we're going to be using is this. Alrighty guys, that is pretty much it for this video. I had a lot of fun painting this German tanker. I think it turned out pretty well, and the decals worked really good too. My first time using decals like that, and I think it turned out really nicely. If you guys would like to see me paint or do something else, please let me know in the comments down below. I am planning on doing a Poor Boy Warhammer again, so stay tuned for that. I've got another really cool little scratch build coming up in the future, but without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed my video, please like, subscribe only if you want to. I don't care if you do. I'm just happy you guys are watching my videos. And without further ado, onto the montage.